Welcome back to Time Out with GC. On the show over the last year and a bit, we've been having tons of conversations regarding COVID, from chatting to super specialists to chatting to people who've had COVID and their experiences. But I've never come across someone who spent such a long time in COVID ICU. Joining me in studio is Kendall and Leanne Hendricks. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Hi Gershwin, thank you for having us.
They are newly married, got married in March this year. So I'll say congratulations.
Thank you, that's good.
Still in the honeymoon phase?
Yes, we are.
Haven't had honeymoon yet.
No. Kendall, come now. You should be doing this.
Yeah.
Listen, man, your story is remarkable. Kendall spent 42 days in COVID ICU. If you've never been in a COVID ICU ward, it is not a place you want to see, because it is, seriously, the emotions that go in it. From a family perspective, from a patient perspective, the emotions run high. Kendall, 12th of July, that's when your whole life just took a turn.
That's
basically straight on your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned, on the 12th of July, I went for my COVID test, and unfortunately I tested positive. So that is when everything basically changed. With this experience, I would say it changed me as a person. It changed me for the better. So, yeah.
Leanne, for yourself too, both of you tested positive. You still don't know how you contracted COVID, and that's what happens. We don't know. You know, sometimes you just forget to sanitize, wash our hands. We just forgot to cover our face with our mask over our nose, and you walk past someone and a bit of splatter in the air and you contract COVID.
COVID became real. We knew it was there. We heard about many people. But for our experience, having to experience it for ourselves, I think it got more real. And yeah.
It's difficult to talk about, especially when you just sit down and think about it. For Kendall, yourself too, going to bed that night, early hours of the morning, making funny noises, not being able to breathe. I mean, that must have been a scary moment for both of you.
As she has explained, for me, I don't even remember what happened on the last day before I went to hospital. So it was quite, I can only imagine how difficult it was for her to go through everything and stuff. So, yeah.
I know that you're trying to hold back your emotions too. But Leanne, to have your husband newly married, yes, you have a kid together, and all of a sudden he can't breathe. That's one of the most difficult things to find out from, especially your loved one laying right next to you in bed.
Yeah, like I told him, what scared me is I know that he is a very strong person mentally. Like I say, that is his strongest asset. And the day when he said that this is affecting him mentally, it's messing with his mind. And I knew that, okay, he's really very ill. And there were nights when we laid and I would watch him sleep. I don't sleep. I look at him and I would move him to make sure that he's still breathing, because he wasn't eating. All he does was lay. And the one evening I asked him, do you want to go to the doctor? Do you think I must call the ambulance or something? And he said, you don't know. And I asked, how does he feel? And he said, the only thing he's worried about is his breathing. And that is something very scary. And that is when things just went downhill from there. And it was just breathing all the time. And it's like I was in denial, I would say. I would tell him, get up, move around, don't lay like that. And maybe this would help. And we tried, we did every single thing. We did, if someone says, like give advice and say, why don't you try this? I did that with him. Like all he could do was lay. So I would run around for the medication. I would see that he gets it on time. Everything. I did every single thing that people said. And he steamed. He did everything. So I'm not going to say I don't know why it went that far, but he got the worst of it. And he was the one to always sanitize, to always wear his mask. And, you know, it was always the one, like COVID was real to him since day one. And he was the one that got it so bad. And having to be me, I was also sick with COVID, and I needed to be there for him, and I could see that he really needed it. I'm grateful that he's here, though, and that I could help him. Like we say, he is a miracle. What he went through, I don't think many people would have survived it. Even for the people on the other side, I'm talking about us on the other side. Mentally, it messes with you. Emotionally, like you can have a nervous breakdown. You can just go insane because just the uncertainty of things, that is just too much.
My guests are Kendall and Leanne Hendricks. Kendall spent 42 days in COVID ICU. Married in March this year. They have a beautiful child together, 5 years old. I mean, Kendall, you can't remember. The ambulance came to your home. You
Correct.
went to hospital. And there was a moment when they told me this that I had chicken flesh. Because Kendall can only remember being in hospital, and while speaking to his wife, there was a lady dressed in white next to his bed. And as I'm saying this, I'm getting chrilla. And you're saying that moment when this happened, there was revelations.
There
and
was.
you're not as religious as perhaps your wife,
She is, yeah.
but it changed your mindset.
Change, definitely did. There was, it came from two people that mentioned that there was a huge angel right over my bedside. So that I believe that it was only God that brought me through all of this. And I'm forever thankful for everybody for the prayers and stuff, because that is the only way. Obviously the doctors there, but the hand of God was over them when they were doing whatever they did while I was in ICU. So for everybody, thank you very much for the prayers, for myself and the family as well, because like it was difficult for me, it was also difficult for my loved ones, because you don't know what, your phone rings, you don't know what to expect. So yeah, I just thank God, because it has been a very, very difficult time for my family members and all my friends, and so yeah.
Leanne, you're sitting listening to Kendall speak, shaking your head and just thinking, my husband, I could have lost him. There were so many times that he was basically a goner.
He was.
He had to be sedated, fully sedated. You had to make a difficult call too, because it was either make the call or lose him, like really not being here today.
Yeah, like the doctors phoned to say that they suggest that the better option would be for him to be in ICU because his oxygen levels is not coming up. And that would mean that they would fully sedate him and also fully paralyze him so that he doesn't move, because every movement it affects your oxygen levels. And at the time he left home, he was unconscious. His oxygen levels was on 22.
But before he left, I'm sorry to break your word, the oximeter, you even thought it was broken.
It was broken because it
went
wasn't
from
22.
60 to 22.
To 22, and I checked it on me, and I'm like, this can't be 22. Last night, the previous night, it was on 99, so it can't be on 22. I even went as far as putting the oximeter on his toe, because that is how much I just wanted it to come up. And when the doctors, when they made the call to send him to ICU and things, and I said to the doctor, I'm not a doctor. You know what is best for him. And I believe that we prayed that God placed doctors there. We prayed that whatever happens, it is in God's hands. So before we do anything, we would pray about it. So I trust that, God is going to take the lead. God is already there. So whatever happens from here, as difficult as it is, I am willing to sit back and I'm not going to accept it, but I'm going to go through it because I know I'm not alone in this. And the support system that I had at the time, it was all just prayer. Money meant nothing. I was prepared to pay for things. I was prepared to do anything. And I've learned so much in this time. Money means nothing. It's rather the relationship that you have with the people, because at the end of the day, it was the people that helped me or helped us. We prayed. I've never prayed so much in my life. And praying together as we did, that is what carried him through. And then you get those times that you're so fired up because God is working, because the one day is a good day, and the next day the doctor would phone and then they would say, today is not such a good day. They had to turn the ventilator up to 100, then they had to turn the ventilator down, and then it's on 60. And that would be good for me. And then the next day they phone and we had to push it up again because, there's trouble with his breathing and things. And then they said that he's not fully paralyzed anymore, so they reduced the paralysis medication. And then the next day, and then it's that. So the up and down of things, I would say it was to test my faith, I'm going to say. And it was a very big test. But going through it, like as the days went on, it's not a pleasant feeling, just the uncertainty, like I said. I don't know what are they going to, there were nights, that my phone would ring. I didn't even want to look at the screen because I didn't want to see who's phoning. I didn't want it to be the hospital. I would walk around with my phone everywhere. I don't leave my phone because I don't want to miss a call. And but they would always update me, whether it be good or bad. They would always give an update. And there was times when I thought, okay, so what if he doesn't make it? And I told God, and I said, so many people are praying for him. People from everywhere. If you are going to disappoint the people, everybody's waiting for this miracle. You say that you are a miracle working God. And if you are not going to come through, many people is not going to believe. Their faith is going to be disturbed. Like, that the outlook of God is going to be different. And I begged him, not just for me, not just for our children, not just for the family, but also for everyone else, because this could change someone's life. Even as we're sitting here today, someone might be sitting feeling so hopeless. Prayer works, not only for COVID. You just need that seed, like the faith like a mustard seed. I would say that is all you need, because that's all I had. There were days I doubted it. Although I believe in God, I believe that God carried him through. But there were many days that I doubted it. There were days I would just cry and cry and cry, and that is all I could do. And the worst of it all was, I didn't get to see him. I couldn't speak to him. I couldn't. It was 42 days, I would say, of just hell. I saw him die next to me, and then I thought I made the better decision to have him admitted to hospital. And from there, it only went bad. So I had many questions that I asked. But I am grateful that our miracle baby is sitting here.
Hearing your wife speak, and I know that there are many moments where you don't remember what happened since leaving home, being in Lentegeur Hospital, then going to Grooteskier and seeing the lady dressed in white next to your bed. That's all you remember.
That's correct.
And hearing your wife just speaking how it affected her and how her religion became stronger, and having faith like a mustard seed. How does it make you feel, Kendall?
Sure, it makes me feel very emotional, Goshen. But she is a strong woman, and she stood by me since day one. And it was proven, like she says, it was a test, but we both passed the test. As it was difficult for me, it was difficult for her as well. And even after I was home, and then she mentioned to her mother that there's times when I was home, she goes into the room, she cries. I didn't know that. So that is all the faith and the strength that she has in our God. So we are much closer to God. We are much closer together now as well. So it was a test. And like I said, we passed the test. So from here, we're just getting better and better. So yeah.
My guests are Kendall and Leanne Hendricks. As you just heard, Leanne talking about what they went through and how she questioned and spoke to God to keep Kendall safe, to have him recover whilst being in ICU. We'll take an ad break. When we do come back, we'll chat and continue the conversation about Kendall being in ICU, COVID ICU, and the decisions they had to make, and also an operation that he had to have. We'll speak about that after the break.